Welcome back. This is episode 7 of our mini golf tutorial series. In this video, we are going to be fixing a couple bugs that I'll try to replicate here in a second. We're also going to be deciding what happens when we score in the hole here, how we win our level, but also often we're going to have hazards. So I'm actually going to take this back wall here. I'm just going to turn it off, because we want to know what happens if I fly off the course. Sometimes we're not going to have walls to save us, and we might have hazards like water or falling off into the abyss here. So we need to set up a reset on that shot. We're also going to be introducing, I've created a UI prefab to make sure we're consistent across every hole on this mini golf course, and we're going to be importing that into our prototype here. Okay, so the first thing, I'll try to show these two bugs, see if I can replicate them. One's really easy to do. Right now I can click off the ball and shoot, which should not be able to happen. Also, my walls are a little bit low, so I should bring those all up. So let's just bring those up because they're a little bit low. So I'm bouncing off of them, getting some air. Don't want that, so let me fix that. And I'll try to do the other bug. So I want you to pay attention to this, this bool here is stopped. Sometimes it's remaining true even though the ball is moving. So I'm going to take a few shots. If I can't simulate this in this video, that's okay. So it went back to true there. Okay, it's staying false, so it's working properly. But basically what happens is sometimes in a shot, in that first frame after releasing, it is detecting that the magnitude is less than 1 and it's resetting it to true. And I can't make it happen right now, probably because I'm running a screen recorder and a couple Unity prototypes. So we're going to fix both of these bugs though right now. So what I'd like you to do is open up your golf ball controller script right here. And first thing first, we are going to go up here and we're going to fix one of the bugs really quick. The fact that it is sometimes setting it back to true, which I couldn't replicate that. It's really easy to fix. We're just going to put in a quick else statement here. So this else, whenever this is not true, basically, that the velocity is not less than 1 or the y velocity is not less than 0.0001, we want to make is stopped is set to false. So we're going to put that in. So really easy, is stopped equals false. And that's it. We don't have to put this on its own down below in its own curly braces line. This will work just fine. Okay, so that's one of the bugs. Is a really easy fix. For the next bugs though, aiming off the ball, we're going to add a public bool. It can be private, but this way we can see it. We're going to call it is aiming. Okay, and we're going to default that to false because we're not aiming when the level first loads. All right, now we're going to update this bool in a couple spots. When we start aiming, we want to set it to true. So in this method, we're going to say is aiming, and we're going to set that equal to true. Okay, and then down here, when we shoot, when we release the left mouse button, we want to turn it back to false. So is aiming, we're going to make that equal to false. There we go. Now we want to use this bool. Right now we're just turning it on and off or true and false. Let's use it. So we want to put it right here. So on this if, when we're holding the mouse button and when we lift it up, we want to make sure that check is implemented there. Not is stopped. We're going to change both of these to is aiming. So we're going to do it there. And whoops. Is aiming. Perfect. That'll fix both those bugs. I've saved the script. It's good to go. Okay, now I do want to, let's dive into the next thing we want to tackle, which the first one, I think, let's work on the hazard reset. Okay, so to do the hazard reset, we're going to go down here just to keep things organized. Actually, we're going to add another vector 3. So let's put that with our other vector 3s. We can leave this one private. So this private vector 3. And we're going to call this last shot position. Okay, we're going to be using this to store our last shot position to reset it back when we fly off our map or hit a hazard. We also need to add a float. So we're going to go up here to our floats and we're going to add a public float. So this one you are going to manipulate as needed in the inspector to match your level. This public float is going to be called the hazard, capital POS for position Y. So this is the height at which we want to reset our shot. So when it detects a certain height, which we'll set in the inspector, it'll reset us. Now, how do we implement this reset? Well, really easy. We're going to be adding an if statement in the update. So let's go down to the bottom here. And we can put it after this last frame velocity, that's fine. So we're going to put in an if here, and all this if is going to check is it's going to check the game object transform.y, so it's going to check the height basically in the y position, and we want to make sure that it will return true if it's less than our hazard. Whoops, I put in yield. Let's fix that. .y there. Oh, it's. Oh, position.y, that's what was going on here. I was wondering why that was happening. Forgot the position part. There, now put that less than hazard position y. Okay, so when that happens, we're going to run a method. We're going to put this method down below, or function. We're going to call it hazard reset. Okay. And hazard reset is showing an arrow because it does not exist in the current context. So let's go and make it down here. So let's scroll all the way down, carefully make sure I'm not in the bounce method. We're going to be making the hazard reset method. Okay, this method is super easy. We don't have much we need to do in this one. It's only going to be a couple lines of code. So let's set it up. So it's going to be a private void hazard reset. Okay, and set up some curly braces here, and in here we're going to take the rb.velocity of our ball, and we're going to set it to 0. We do this because when it sets it back to its position, we don't want the ball to continue with the same velocity. So that will stop that problem from happening. And then we're going to set the transform.position to equal last shot position. Now, we haven't set up the last shot position. We set up the variable, but we haven't updated it. And the best spot to do that would make a lot of sense is within the shoot method. So in our shoot method here, the very first line here, it's a good spot to put it right at the beginning before anything happens, is we're going to store that last shot position. So we're going to go last shot position, and we're going to set that equal to GameObject.transform.position. Okay, so it's going to store that last position and utilize it to reset our ball there. Again, this RB velocity, if we don't set that to 0 before we instantaneously change the position of our ball, it would keep the velocity from when it was falling, and it would do some weird physics that we don't want it to do. Okay, so let's save that right now. And this should work just fine. We'll go back into Unity now and test this out. So I'm going to purposely shoot this off the back, but first remember we got to set that height. Now what height makes sense? We'll take a look at your level and your ball. We see that my ball is currently at a height of y equals 1. So I'm going to go down here in my script. Remember I created this hazard y, and I'm going to set it to -4. Now this is totally up to you. I like it to fall a little ways before it resets. Okay, so not like -1 or 0. I think -4 is going to work nicely. Let's give it a shot and see if this actually works. So we're going to test this out, and I'm going to fire it right off the end. So let's just shoot this, and it should drop and hit 4. Boom. And it's nice. I like how the camera smoothly comes back with that interpolation. So again, let's just test it. If I was in a different position, not just where I started, you notice that bug doesn't happen anymore. So that's good. So I'm going to move the ball up a little ways here. I'm going to carefully not score it in. So here's my last shot position now right here. So then I'm going to fire it off, and it sets me right back where I was. Now, wherever my rotation of my camera is, if I shoot this off, it will keep the rotation the same as well. So it sets you right back from when you released your shot. Perfect. Okay, so our shot reset is working great. Now, let's set up something when we scored in the hole. So if you remember our hole, which is down here, I childed it to the ground here. I'm going to zoom in. Remember, we created this little box down here. Okay, so it's this box that I'm going to put a trigger on. This hole I need to we're going to make it a, we're not going to make it a trigger, but we want to create a tag. So this tag we're going to create makes a lot of sense if we just call it hole with a capital H. Save that, and then we're going to assign that to the hole. Okay, now we're going to go into our collision detection of our golf ball controller. So let's open up our golf ball controller here, and in the collision detection right here, so we have the check if we collide with walls, but now we're going to set up another check that's going to see what we collide with. So let's use some copy paste. I'm going to take this compare tag, okay, and I don't want it to be walls, I want it to be hole. Now, if this is true, what do we do? All right, so if we do collide with the hole, we're going to be modifying this. So if that's true, what we're going to do is we're going to set the RB.velocity to 0. Now, I'm doing this because if you hit the bottom, I don't want anything weird happening and bouncing out. It shouldn't happen, but in the event that it were to bounce completely out, that would be unfortunate. And we don't really have that in our game with how deep the hole is, so it shouldn't bounce out, but I am going to set the velocity to 0 at that point. Then, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be calling a method. Okay, so I'm just going to comment this in. This will be in the next video, but we're going to put in a win hole method via the game manager. Okay, and we're going to be creating that game manager in the next video. So for now, I'm just going to test this with a debug.log. And let's just say you win. Okay, something simple. And we'll print that to the console just to test this to make sure it's working. Okay, excuse me. And I think that's all we're going to need on this one because the game manager is going to come up later. Yeah, that should be it. Perfect. All right, let's go test it out. So here what we're going to do is I'm going to try and score it in the hole here. Maybe I'll get it in one shot will be nice. Something good that that helps with game testing with this game, you could go to File, Edit, Project Settings, and set the time to be faster than 1. Okay, so I can shoot, the ball will roll faster, everything. So it's just going to double the time speed of the game. So I'm going to set that to 2. You can if you want, but for now, I'm going to see how this looks. I got to put this in. So now you're going to see that everything's going to go twice as fast when in the physics, which is great. So I'm going to see if I can get this in one shot. Let's go for it. Hopefully that's not too hard. It drops in the hole. Boom, and we see the console prints, you win, you win. So it did actually bounce there. It did it twice. Looks like it hit that. It collided twice there. So that shouldn't happen too often, but that's okay. That won't change anything. We're still just going to run the method in here, and it'll work just fine. Okay, that's actually, oh no, we got to do one more thing in this video. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the UI, and this is quite an easy task. All we got to do is, I'm going to be sharing this on Google Classroom. So you're going to get a file, and let me show you what it looks like here. It's going to be compressed like this. So you'll unzip it, and in here you're going to have a UI prefab. It's right here. Okay, so that UI prefab, we're going to grab that and we're going to pull it into our right into our assets folder here. So let me give this a shot. I'm going to pull this right into here. Should only take a second. We get our UI canvas. So this should work just fine. So I'm going to test this out. So I'm going to bring now this prefab right into, it's asking me, okay, before I do that, let's import the MI, the TextMesh Pro Essentials. We're going to need that because that's what I was using to create this. So in case you don't have that installed yet, make sure you do. Now that it is, I should be able to drag and drop and check this out. Boom! Instant UI that I've already templated. So you see here, this has all, it's going to keep track of our rounds. I have 25 of you students, so hopefully we get 25 holes turned in. Over here, this is all being set up right now with hole 1 and par 3, our strokes and so on. All of that is going to be utilized in our oh, I just noticed something. This script shouldn't be here. So it's going to kick back an error because we're missing a script. So let's first, so you click on UI Canvas and let's get rid of that first. Remove that component. Good. Okay, so that don't kick back an error. So let's see how this is organized. So I have right panel and my left panel. So again, we can take a look at this by setting it up on our screen. There's our UI there. Whoops, too far. There we go. Now I can see my UI. The right panel's over here, left's on that side. The left side, you're not going to change anything. Okay, we're just going to leave everything in there, but basically it's just storing all my text, and then this was a bit tedious, but I stored all of the whole text and all of the score text here, and we're going to be using that in the next video to update things. On the right panel, of course, right here, as you decide what your level looks like, the par text you want to change. So whatever the par is for your level, you want to set this. Now our goal was making a level that's between par 3 up to par 5. Now remember, a par 3 should be doable in one shot. Okay, a par 4 with an excellent shot, you should be able to do it in 2. A par 5, you should be able to do it in 3. That's called an eagle, right? 2 under par. So just keep that in mind. If you're like, what par should I do? You can ask me, I'll help you out, but set the par on your level. The whole number up above, right now, the whole number text, current whole number, don't worry about that. You're gonna just leave that. I'll be updating that in the next video. And down below though, the credit, definitely change this. Hole created by, well, not Tyler Tronis. Put your name there, please. Okay, so your name goes here for yours. Everything else, leave it as is. This is all gonna work great in the next video. All right, that's it for this one. We'll see you in the final episode coming up next. Have a good one.